So, Gen X, we're back again. You get the feeling that the U.S. is being held together pretty much by fear instead of, love and respect? Because I get that impression. And this is something that's been I've been ruminating on for some time now. This idea that why is the U.S. in the predicament it's in? I think of it like this. People are more afraid to do anything than anything else. And I mean, they fear the IRS, they fear the FBI, they fear the fucking cops, they fear all this stuff. And that's the only thing that seems to be holding this bullshit system together, if you notice it. I mean, I notice it. So I don't know if anybody else notices it, but I do. And there was a former Soviet economist named Yuri Molsev. And I've seen several of his lectures years and years ago. But there was one in particular where he talks about when Gorbachev got elected as the president of the Soviet Union, and what he did, the first thing he did was unravel the fear of the Soviet Union, and of course, as soon as he did that, the whole thing collapsed, right? Well, correct me if I'm wrong, Gen X, you guys have been around a while, millennials, Zoomers, you guys have been around a while. Everybody's pretty much living in fear in the U.S. That seems to be what's holding it together. It doesn't seem to be that it's being held together with love and mutual respect for their fellow man. Clearly, that's not the case. So, what would happen if all the fear went away? Well, I think that the U.S. would collapse, and of course, not the type of collapse that you guys think of, where it's road warrior type of thing. No, I think it would be, think of it more of as a market correction, right? Because the market is just people, right? You've heard me talk about this. All the market is people. And that's all an economy is, for that matter. And the market, the economy would just correct itself, right? Because nobody's in fear anymore. So they're not in fear, running in fear of the IRS, running in fear of police departments, running in, and if all that goes away, well then people very rapidly go back to being what they want to be as opposed to what some government wants them to be. Does that kind of make sense? So I've been kind of thinking about this, and I'm going to level with you. And I've been talking about this in other Gen X videos, but I'm really going to level with you guys. I mean, aren't you fucking sick of these boomers yet? And I hate to make this a generational thing, but god damn, dude. 56 odd years of like the shittiest possible voting that could have been done, and to say that, well, no, it's all our fault. No, that reminds me, whenever I hear someone say, well, no, it's society at large. Like, no, that sounds dangerously close to the whole convid thing. Like, oh, let's just forgive each other and move on. We didn't mean to tell everybody who was, who didn't get the jab, that they should actually die in the streets, even though that's what they said on multiple occasions. And now it's everybody be buddy, and let's forget about the whole thing, right? That's what it kind of sounds like when I hear, and I'm not picking on all boomers, right? I mean, there's a few out there, precious few, that kind of understand this stuff, but there is this large sense of, well, okay, now it's all of us. Like, no, because Gen X is too small a generation, and to have made any difference in anything, for real. Millennials, even assuming that millennials and Gen X voted in lockstep with each other, wouldn't have made any difference against boomers, and we all know that. And just recently, in terms of voting, if you want to talk about voting, it's only been recently now that if Gen X, if millennials, and if Zoomers all vote in lockstep, yeah, they might be able to overthrow the boomer stronghold, right? Maybe. And even then, it's a big maybe, because and boomers have this thing where they're just trying to protect everything that they have, not realizing that, like, look, politicians and all these people, like, dude, these people are going to run the country into the ground, right? They will impoverish the entire population. They will flood the country with 400 million illegals if they have to. They'll do whatever they have to do to protect their illusions of wealth. And I think that that's pretty goddamn obvious at this point, that's what all of them are willing to do. You've heard me talk about these guys before, these fucking fossils that have been there for just ever. And like, this cannot continue. It can't go on like this. So, you know, at what point, and I said this before, and I'm asking this again, and I'm coming back to this, like at what point is enough enough? At what point do we say, listen, you guys are, like, we're not giving you any more money. You know, look, you can pretend to be in charge all you want. You can run around giving each other fines and tickets. We're not paying any of that shit. You know, at what point do Americans realize that, for example, El Chapo, remember El Chapo? His son was in jail in Mexico, and his friends went and rescued him. He has better friends than any American that I know of. I mean, you know, Americans are just basically disappeared all the time, and nobody goes and rescues them. So, you know, at what point do we just do that? Like, for real? Like, for real? Like, you know, just show up en masse, you know? I mean, it's not like that people didn't buy enormous numbers of hardware, right? I'm having to carefully say that kind of stuff because of the algorithms and what have you. You get the idea, but you know what I'm talking about, the type of hardware I'm talking about, right? The kind that you fill out a 4473 to pick up. It's not like Americans didn't buy tens of millions of those goddamn things. So I have to wonder here, you know, so what are your thoughts on this? Because I've brought this up, and I'm bringing it up again because I keep thinking about this, you know, from our perspective as the next generation who has to take all this stuff over. None of us want any more of these goddamn wars. Pretty much everybody's sick. I think that's pretty well consensus. Anybody that's born after 1964 is pretty fed up with all of this. We're broke. We don't have a lot of money. We can't keep paying for all this shit. And there is no argument. I haven't heard an argument yet that justifies, you know, printing all kinds of money and sending it all over the world while we have a homelessness explosion all over our country, right? Well, we have all kinds of goddamn problems all over our country. I haven't heard anybody be able to make a solid argument as to why that's considered okay, why that's somehow okay, but, you know, so I don't know. I'm kind of thinking out loud here, but I think this is something that, you know, we really should have a discussion about, because it's not like these people will run the country into the fucking dirt. They will. There's nothing that will stop these people. Like I said the last time, these people will be in their hundreds if they can, you know, just punish fucking this country and everybody in it, and as long as they keep their pensions and whatever else bullshit promises that they were made. So, just a question.